Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, guys. I'm sorry I am late. The stream was not set up and it took me a little bit to get things going. In about a minute and a half, we will have PPI, expectation, US PPI month over month, spot 1, and core PPI month over month expected to be spot 1. Now that's a little low. And since CPI was a little bit high, I'm kind of a little bit skeptical that we are going to get a spot 1. But I don't know. Now, don't freak out when this number comes out because it is an options expiration Friday, okay? That is probably the bigger story today than the PPI. So we'll probably get like an initial reaction to PPI, but then options expiration takes hold, right? I thought it actually started at 6:30, only now do I realize it's 6:25. Yeah. Well, really, my goal is to be here at 6:20 because that's when the treasuries actually start, but, you know. Okay, here we go. Okay. That is not good. So we got a PPI headline spot 3 and core, oh shoots, core PPI was spot 5? Spot 5 versus spot 1, that is huge. I'm actually surprised that they did not sell more. Look at that huge honkin' 5K sell at 23. Yes, please. Well, I'll let it calm down a little bit. Maybe I'll add a second contract on here. This is really good for my swing position, but holy crap. Okay, well, the treasuries did not decline quite as much as I maybe thought that they would. But the S&P 500 is very unhappy about this and down about 10 points since the news dropped. Like, okay, so when you have big options expiration, it can kind of like pin the market. It makes it difficult to have an extended move. Probably what was most likely to happen before this piece of news. The plan for the day was equities were just going to continue to buy up and you know, the Friday options expiration will expire in whatever is best for the people that, you know, have been holding the options. But when you get a wrench in the system, like this PPI report, now all of a sudden everything becomes unhinged. You get people that end up having to sell their hedges and do all sorts of things. I don't know if the PPI number that we got is like guaranteed to create that kind of craziness, but it definitely has the potential to create that kind of craziness. And the options expiration that we have is so massive that if the S&P really turns into unhinged mode, it could really be something else. So I'm honestly a little excited to see what happens here. I think this should be fun. It doesn't guarantee to be down. I think my bias is certainly sell the S&P. In fact, I think I could probably sell the S&P at right here at the bottom at 50.40 and probably still make money. Although that wouldn't be a very great trade, but I think this might have legs. Well, let's see. You know, I always go through these situations where it's like, you know, like on stream we'll talk about it. You want to be informed, you know. If X and X thing happened, I can pretty much guarantee you what's going to happen. Well, I always say pretty much guarantee you because there's going to be that one time out of 1,000 that it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. And then that's the one where you would lose like insane amounts of money, right? So there's always that possibility. But yeah, I think this is a sell. In fact, let me come back to the E-mini. So the E-mini is the one that's reacting the most, right? So that just erases the overnight move. I think 50.30 has got to be my first. Well, look, we're already down another clip. 50.30 is definitely like my first kind of key level I'm looking at, right? And then I always like to look at like these highs and lows. So like 50.30, 50.20. Let's call it 50.20. So that would be a 60-point move. So beyond that, then we're starting to get into crazy level stuff, right? Okay, interesting. So the swaps are now starting to price that there won't be a rate cut in May or June either. Like all of a sudden we're going from, oh yeah, we're going to cut interest rates 6 times and yada, 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 to all of a sudden the market realizing we're not going to cut rates at all this year. You think that could affect their pricing of equities? I think probably, yeah. That core PPI, there's got to be something more to that number, though. Well, nothing on zero hedge yet. Spot 5 is a weird number. There's got to be like one factor in there. Let's see here. I'm trying to find the crosstabs here to see. Eggs for fresh use, 14.6. So final demand goods, it was actually negative spot 3, so it can't be that. Final demand energy was down too. Ugh, I let my demo long trade I had at the open through the news now down 16 demo ticks. Oh, well, I'm glad that it's demo. You closed it before the news for +1. Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, I'm glad you did that one, huh? Yeah. I don't know. I think there could be more in this. Yeah. But it is. I don't know. Maybe the options expiration is going to take hold and get things kind of like really tight. I said before, like, well, this number might be not quite as cool as we think because options expiration. But it's enough to break that, so So far it's just kind of okay. So far it's just kind of okay. So far it's kind of like, oh, maybe it is options expiration Friday. You know, I'm not seeing here in the crosstabs which well, final demand services was spot 6, with chemicals and allied products wholesaling up way big time. Computer hardware down way big time. Ooh, that means we need to buy a computer, huh? Final demand services, less trade, transportation, and warehousing. Spot 8. Yeah, that's got to be it. It's services, though. That's not a good sign, right? Let's come back and read the main report, and maybe it will tell us, give me a little bit better of an idea here. Index for final demand, less foods, energy, and trade services rose about 6% in January, the largest advance since moving up 0.6% in January of 2023. For the 12 months ended January 2024, prices for final demand, less foods, energy, and trade services increased 2.6%. Well, here's Eric Wallerstein on Twitter. Core CPI reaccelerated to spot 6% in January versus unchanged in December. Largest monthly increase in a year, and all services driven. That was kind of my guess there. Because the whole thing that was like, we were seeing inflation in services, and it was like, okay, now it should kind of die back down. And it kind of like went to neutral, now it's coming back up again. So that's a pretty bad omen for future inflation. That kind of suggests, or let's not say suggests, let's say that is a really big data point in favor of those who believe that inflation is prone to reaccelerate. That for some reason, when you have inflation like you did in the 70s, that it comes in 2 waves. I was more of the opinion that that happened because of the Vietnam War, and the president decided to make that choice to have inflation and so forth. But now you're kind of seeing this play through. We are getting like a second wave of inflation, it seems. And how far that wave goes is really the question. Okay, well, it was very, very brief, but we did break the low in ZN from Tuesday when we had CPI, so. When you look at it on a daily chart, yeah. Like if they do extend, imagine that bar was like down to here. Yeah, they really make the daily chart look a little bit different, don't you think? Deflation is coming? Well, we'll see. It seems to me that it will be very difficult to get deflation or a quote-unquote landing when Joe Biden is pumping the economy full of money through government workers. Like, you're not getting the monetary. Like, how is this that you have monetary policy is tight and the economy is still growing, employment is still good, all of these things? Well, it's because Biden is doing stealth stimulus. They are putting money into the economy. Like, there's a lot of new buyers at new lows. There was a decent amount of volume that went through at like 16 and below, wasn't there? So like overall, this was about a 30,000 net sell. Very similar to what happened on Tuesday, right? Because on Tuesday it was like that initial low was the low for a long time, and then we came back up, but it wasn't able to come back up very much and kind of went sideways for most of the session, and then much later in the day they kind of like fell out and went considerably lower. And so far what we're seeing is very much similar. Like, there was a decent amount of absorption down in here. It looks like some people that had some shorts on taking some profits, and yeah, it bounces, but it's pretty lackluster. Well, who knows? Maybe the orders really come in strong and just retrace this thing. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be absorption for longs. It could be shorts taking profits. No way to really know. Like normally seeing a really large amount down in an area, I would be like, well, that's too many contracts to be like existing positions being taken off, so that's got to be like new positions. But after a big news event like PPI, especially when 30,000 contracts net sold, it could just be exiting. So here's a note I missed on Twitter that somebody posted this about an hour ago, and they said, large put buying in Treasury futures yesterday, largest open interest in ZNF at 109.5 strike. Okay, which is like right where we're at, by the way. Both March and April year-to-date low in ZN was 109.16 right after CPI on Tuesday, so this is clearly an important level to watch. And might be why you started to see some volume come in, was because there's a large options position there. Okay, so Zero Hedge already has their story out. Let's look. After the hotter than expected CPI, which has been shrugged off entirely by the stock market, producer prices were expected to rebound very modestly month over month, but continue to slow on a year-over-year basis in January. Instead, like CPI, it re-accelerated with headline rising spot 3, which left PPI up spot 9% year over year. The picture was even worse under the hood, with PPI X Food and Energy up spot 5% month over month versus spot 2% prior and spot 1% expected. X Food, Energy, and Trade up spot 6% month over month. In fact, Horse PPI reached a new record high. Reminder, disinflation does not mean lower prices. It just means that prices do not rise as much, right? Lower prices would be deflation. Okay, it is now up 17.4% since Biden was elected. Services PPI soared month over month. And on a year-over-year basis, services PPI is also reaccelerating. Energy continues to be the deflationary driver. This is not good for the disinflationistas and will stop President Biden's narrative that prices are coming down. Well, they're not. He wants them to come down. Here's a story on Zero Hedge. I'm like, the September surprise, and I'm like, ooh, what September? So now they're talking about how the Democrats will try and replace Joe Biden on the ticket. It really sucks that if they're going to replace Joe, that we won't find out that that's what's happening until September. Okay. You know? So that swing was, again, not very encouraging if you wanted to go long. I kind of was thinking he'd come back to that big order and I could go short again, but I don't think that's happening anymore. The big order's gone. This is that song with the stupid Everything else about the cool, the great, but the is just a little bit too much for me. So, I am noticing something very interesting happening in the treasuries here. Pullback, I would say fairly lackluster, but the pullback in the spread is very significant. So, on the drop, there was pretty intense flattening, and that flattener is now kind of being unwound. Let's see here, Seth. I'm confused that some say a graphics unit does not make a big difference on a multiple monitor setup. would you say I can buy a mini PC for a multi-monitor setup? Is it smooth, and what's your experience? Okay, so first of all, if you just got like a mini PC, you would not have the ports to connect multiple monitors to it. I suppose if you had a Thunderbolt connection on the back and your monitors are all new monitors with USB-C, then you could maybe do something with that. And I think that they make hubs to do that sort of a thing. But you're in order to have the connectors for multiple monitors, you're probably going to need some type of add-on video card. That is to say, you're probably not going to use the video card that comes on the motherboard, right? So you could absolutely use a mini PC, because they do make video cards that are relatively small and relatively cheap. But I think that what people are trying to say on this thing is not that you don't need a video card, but that you don't need like a GeForce 4080, right? Any video card will do, because these applications do not really use a whole lot of video acceleration power. They use a little bit, but not very much. So I can come in here and show you in my task manager, and I go to performance, and there is a GPU tab. I already have it selected. And so you can see, like, I'm using a little bit of 3D, but that's NinjaTrader is the thing that's using the little bit of 3D. And if you don't have the video card, it will just use your CPU. And I am using the encoder, but yeah. So if we come over here, I always, even though some people don't like Newegg, I still think Newegg's the best place to look for these sorts of things. President's Day savings, level up with 60% off. Okay, they didn't pay me to do that, but they should. They should pay me, because I thought that was a pretty epic read off. Okay, so we want components. GPUs. Okay. And I think that we could probably get a GeForce 16 series. Is that what they're called? Yeah, there you go. So see this thing right here? Gigabyte GeForce GTX 1650, 4 gigabytes, 179, dirt cheap. And look, it's pretty small. Oh yeah. So if you're like building a mini PC case sort of setup, and you went for the really small, relatively small video card, because it's the really long ones that kind of cause problems in those cases, right? Yeah, you could totally pull it off. Now, if you're talking about getting those like those little mini PCs that are kind of designed to like you put a router on or something like that, then that's maybe a different issue, because again, you have a video card that actually has the outputs. Now, note this one, you get DisplayPort and one HDMI, and then DVI, which I don't know if there's you can really even get anything that uses DVI anymore, but so you would only be able to connect 2 monitors to that, right? Okay. Let's look at a different 1650. Here's a little bit of a bigger one. It's got 2 fans on it. What do we got on the end here? Oh, it's the same thing. So maybe we should come in and say interface. No, DisplayPort. HDMI. Multi-monitor support 3. Well, that did not narrow it down for us because they're saying, oh, you can use all 3 of those ports. Yeah, but they're not. If I come into the HDMI, no, that gives me the form factor. I'm surprised that they're still selling 1650s for almost $400. What? That's crazy. That's crazy. Nah, that's not a good deal at all. No, that's a terrible deal. That's a terrible deal. So if I come back here and they got, you know, okay, so that's almost a same price you can get at 3060. That's what I have. Mine's not the MSI, but okay. Now you can do 3 display ports and 1 HDMI, right? So that's what's going to matter to you, right? So what connectors does it have on the back? And if you go on eBay and you search for things, you'll probably get them even cheaper. That does make me think about, I'm really interested in like little mini PCs, like a PC that is like built into the keyboard, maybe gives you a mouse, like something that, like, if I was going to teach a bunch of people Linux stuff, that they could go out and get, you know? But the only one that I'm really aware of is like the Raspberry Pi one. Here we go, mini PCs. Pre-built mini PC with a keyboard and screen. GDP Micro, $600. Oh. That looks tiny. I don't know. $600 is not a very good. Oh man, that is tiny. No. You might as well just get a notebook at that point. Those are the kinds of PCs you see business people in movies and airplanes use. But you can get like, there's like netbooks that are like $500. Okay, I'm messing with NinjaTrader API. Do I need to add a custom indicator within NinjaTrader to pull market depth? Or can I do it straight through the DLL in Visual Studio? Ooh, okay, yes, you can. So if you create an add-on, and there is documentation, let's pull that documentation up. Educational reference, I think. Add-on development overview. Here you go. So this is where you can create an add-on that opens up your own window. Yes, a C-sharp's WinForm. It's not WinForm, actually. So if you're going to do this, you're going to be using WPF forms, which is like a markup similar to HTML to define what the interface looks like. And it uses model view paradigm, which means that you have like your model and you have your view, and then you have this other component that describes how the data translates between those two, so that when something changes on the view, it changes in the model and vice versa. Two-way binding, essentially. Okay. But when you come in here and you do this, they have below is a NinjaScript editor compatible zip file, which also contains a XAML file. You download this to your desktop. Yeah. So then if you go and you download this and build it in Visual Studio, and then put the DLL into your Ninja Trader custom folder, then you get your app. And that's how I made things like the market depth tape, for instance. So yes, you do get market depth. And if you go into, well, I might as well. Let's download it real quick. Add-ons. Oh, this one's different. This is the simple add-on framework, I think. Add-on framework window. They're adding all of these methods. It gets pretty big. Okay, but here within this file, they give you an example of like every little thing that you do. So here is add-on stuff. Oh, they're just adding stuff to the interface in this. This is C# form stuff, right? This is okay. When this button is pressed and you show the fundamental data screen, this is what we do. But there is a spot down here somewhere. Okay, so for instance, on fundamental data, what do I do? Okay. On market data. Okay, so there's when orders come through. Now let's see here. You want market depth, right? On market depth. Da, 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 da. And here they have a whole method to show you how to like create a DOM sort of thing. I need to drop down to select the contract and put data in the data grid view. It's in here. I'm actually really in. So if you have something in Visual Studio and like when you build it, you can open up the add-on in Visual Studio. If you got all of that to work without using this file as a starting point, that's pretty impressive. Because there's just a lot of little moving parts, you know? It's a lot easier to start with these ones. I think they have two versions too. So there's this one. This was add-on framework NinjaScript basic. I think that this is one where you don't necessarily need to open it in Visual Studio. When I made mine, I used this one. Download Visual Studio solution for add-on development. This is the one that's got like, you know, a bunch of files and stuff. I think that this is where all the code is. Yeah. Oh, nope. Not that one. Can't possibly be this one. No. Don't open it up like that. It must be in this one, even though it's... Yeah, oh, it's a XAML SCS, but yes. Yep. Similar kind of code to what we saw earlier. Okay, here we go. On bar update. Do bars request. On order updates. On execution update. On position update. On connection status update. On simulation count reset. Instrument. Yeah. Here we go. That part is just switching things when you click a button. And back to the top of the page. Oh, here it is. There's your market depth button. Or section, rather. So what I would do is I would start with this one. I would go through all of the parts where, you know, it says add-on page and change them to the name of your class and get it so that you can pull the custom object up in NinjaTrader. Okay. And then come back and get rid of all of the components that you don't need and just have market depth or whatever it is that you're doing. You're trying to make a DOM? Oh, good luck. Actually, there's a guy that used this add-on to make a DOM, and it's up on GitHub somewhere. I'm not sure how I would find it again. But I'm sure if you dug hard enough, you'd be able to find it. So I opened that up in Notepad++, but yesterday I was doing some editing in Helix, and I'm really liking Helix, and I'm wondering how can I open things up in Helix Editor? So if I come in here and I go to my work folder... Open with, choose another app. Let's see. Choose an app on your PC. I don't know where they installed it to. Oh, there's an app installer on the Microsoft Store. They must have put something in my... Must have put something in environment variables. I'm gonna open it up over here so you have to see. Do you mean this? If you posted a link, I can't see that. Okay, what was it doing? Oh, yeah. Ooh, what if I do it this way? What if I go terminal? I'll use new shell, which hx. Ha. Oh, geez, really? Well, I can just copy it like that, and then I can say, open with, choose another app. Choose an app on your PC. Oh. Just once. It worked! Hey! I love it. It's purple. It's kind of cool because it's purple. Like the default theme is purple. I'm kind of into it. So if I do this again. Cool. All right. Feel like I accomplished something worthwhile there. Well, I kind of thought that rise up into the 20 area was maybe significant. I guess it was kind of like maybe a little bit better than more of a pullback than we had before, but I'd say it's still pretty lackluster. But I am seeing the volume even back out. Now that's interesting. See the net cumulative delta came back. So the day traders went short and took their profits and were left down here, maybe? Octavia says they're going to retrace the whole move. It's possible. It's definitely possible. I don't know, though. Like, in order for them to retrace the whole move, that's going to take a lot of contracts. Maybe possible, like, over the course of the session. I'm going to bet you that by the end of our session, though, that it's going to be pretty close to where it is right now. I don't know. I'm building your own DOM even within WPF is pretty hard because those data grids don't necessarily perform the way that you're going to want, I think is what you're going to find. The dollar needs to recuperate? Well, the dollar has been a weird one, right? Because when we got that CPI, the dollar was soaring. And then when we had retail sales was really bad, the dollar got hammered. Wasn't nearly as bad as the CPI. And then here we got the PPI and it's heading on the upside again. Can the dollar get up to 104.75 again? It remains to be seen. When I look at the intraday chart down in here, the bottom of the screen, you know, it's kind of mean reverting. So they may not be like running for something like that. Static price column and freely moving bids offers. I'm not sure what you mean by that. It's just a thing to have like every field updating at the same time is kind of you will run into a point when it's moving enough that you'll have problems with it. Data grid wasn't necessarily designed to have like 100 fields in it, all updating 100 times a second, right? That's what I mean. That's where you run into problems. And then there's like alternative data grids that you can use, and then those don't quite do what you want, and you have to modify those, or you make one from scratch in WPF, which is a real pain. But that's the sort of stuff that you end up going into. So I wonder if I use the Microsoft Store version of Helix, if that does something different. Yeah, they said that it was on the Windows Store, but I don't see it. It bothers me that Helix doesn't have like a cool icon. It should. Sorry with the coughing today. I hope that's not like blowing your ears out every time I do that. I'm just realizing now, like, that probably is not pleasant to listen to. So I finally see a story that I've kind of been waiting to see. Recession has struck some of the world's top economies. The US keeps defying expectations. This situation where like the rest of the world falls into recession and the US doesn't, I don't think that happened. I think that eventually the US would be dragged in too. I don't know, man. The way that's turning over. So I'm not really seeing the volume turnover per se, but like the price definitely kind of sunk down here. New lows are possible, but maybe not. Maybe not likely. I think you would need the volume to make a new low. Tekken 8 adding microtransactions post-launch to dodge bad reviews. Now, of course, I'm surprised that they didn't have the microtransactions to begin with. That's interesting because the people like the game, I thought. Five minutes to the open for equities. This open should be really interesting. So the reaction that the market has had so far is not as extreme as it could be. Wouldn't surprise me to see to see equities make a really strong attempt at retracing the gap down. It also wouldn't surprise me to see them go for new lows and just really start to turn this into a bender. So we'll find out here soon. If a block trade comes through on Jigsaw's time and sells, can we assume it was from one big player? So the way that the reconstructed tape in Jigsaw works is when you get data, it comes in and it says, okay, there was fills at this price. So it doesn't say there was one big order that bought 3,000 contracts at 18.5. Actually, what it says is this order and this order and this order and this order at 18.5 were filled. So you will actually get a new data point for every filled order, right? But they'll all have the same like timestamp, and they'll all be within the same period of like you'll only see one level 2 change, but you'll see a bunch of fills. And so what Jigsaw does is it reconstructs it and it says, okay, that must mean then that there was one big market order that came through, right? So that's why it's reconstructed tape, right? So yeah, but when you see a new line on these reconstructed tapes, that means that was all one market order. And this only shows market orders. And block, in this instance, for them, block just means like how, a certain size. Over a certain size, we call it a block trade, essentially. So that we can display like a special alert or something like that. Oh, which I don't have turned on right now. That's interesting. Oh, maybe I did. Maybe I do. Maybe not. I have it set to 3,000. I don't get those very often anymore. So what do you do when you see a really big order come through, like in the treasuries? Well, kind of depends, but you know, it's like somebody screwed up when you see that usually. Right? That's usually like somebody stopped out, or somebody was offering too much liquidity and a big guy wanted it and took it. So in that situation, it's like, oh, okay. Kind of makes price get stuck, actually. Kind of like that creates the liquidity hole and kind of makes us go sideways. But sometimes that can be like, you know, big guys stopping out and they really want to go all one way and there's more trend. It's worth watching those. Just don't take it as like, that means it's going to do X. This is very complicated, but I do like to watch them, especially since it kind of gives you an idea of like which way are the market orders going. Because if all the market orders are in one direction, do you need the DOM to trade futures successfully? To trade successfully, I'm going to say no, but I think that if you want to trade futures on an intraday basis, you really want to use the DOM. I really rely very heavily on the DOMs. So, you know, I want to have the best DOM tools. That's why I use Jigsaw and all of those sorts of things. You might be saying to yourself, well, I don't know if I want to spend $500 to get the Jigsaw DOM. Well, okay, but you're going to have some platform, right? And whatever platform that you have is going to have some form of a DOM. So even if the platform is NinjaTrader 8 and you're using NinjaTrader 8's DOM, which absolutely sucks, that's still better than nothing. It's absolutely the best way to like enter your orders and stuff. So if I'm day trading futures, yeah, I'm using the DOM, if only to enter my orders. But that's not to say that like the edge comes from the DOM and the DOM alone, and there's no way to have an edge unless you have the DOM. I don't think that that's true. Because the greatest edge is being informed, knowing what orders are going to come before you're seeing them. Yeah. And the DOM is, I think that the big thing with the DOM, especially with the way that Jigsaw shows it, where you have these current trades columns in the center, I really don't think that you can get a full picture of what is actually going on in an instrument without that. When you see it on the DOM, now you really understand what's going on in that market. It's a really weird gap in the volume profile there at 19.5. Isn't that weird? So we had like a liquidity hole here, and then it fell down, and we made a liquidity hole here, and they didn't fill that in. They didn't spend much time there at all. So I've been searching on my other screen still for like one of those, like a keyboard PC. And like they definitely exist, but like, oh, out of stock. Oh, wait, here's one. Here's one. Okay. Okay. Now you just need like a really small, cheap monitor to go along with it. That's interesting. Okay, this is a keyboard that you're supposed... This is a little thing that you put the Raspberry Pi into. Did you... I have not read dynamic hedging, actually. You think we should read dynamic hedging? Well, I haven't really put a whole lot of work on that one just because it's about options. And I kind of understand some of those concepts broadly. Has Nvidia become too... Oh, you mean the stock? Dude, a stock like that cannot become too expensive. Stock like that can continue to go up forever. But that doesn't mean that it will come up forever. I don't know. But you gotta understand that, like, valuation on a stock that's become that popular, like, the regular rules don't apply anymore. All that matters is how many people will buy it. How many orders are there out there to buy it?
Block sell.
Wow, there's a block. 19 half. Just for fun, I'm reading another live chat, and once again, Tradeovate is lagging out and not working for people well. So I had an experience once with a cloud service of this sort. It was not Tradeovate, but it was a similar sort of service. And I was like, well, I mean, there are disadvantages to using a service like this, and these people, they insisted that it was like better in every way than running the software on your own PC, and I'm just like, that's just not true. And then this is exactly why, right? If you're running it on your own PC, like, you know the way that the software works, you got it all going the way that you want, and then, like, you never change it. And it should always perform the same. Now, if you're connecting to a service, right? Like I use NinjaTrader and then I connect to a broker, right? The broker might have problems, but I can be certain that my software always works on the level that it did, right? And then you want to have something that is like, you know, I can connect to a bunch of different data providers. So if one data provider becomes crappy, I can switch over to the other one and still use my same software. You can do that with Jigsaw, and everything else is kind of switching towards We want to have all the control. We want you to just interact with it through a web browser, right? So what drives that? Well, I think that the big thing that drives it is just that doing web development is a lot easier than building desktop applications, because you don't have to worry about everybody's individual setup and all that sort of stuff, right? But what it introduces is everything about the cloud, right? You're going to have this distributed load running on a bunch of different workers on Amazon AWS or something like that somewhere, right? And things happen and you have to keep them up and everything. My whole job is keeping applications like that running. And it's hard. That's why I get paid so much, is to keep applications like that running. So when I hear, let's make an application like that designed for trading, I'm immediately like, no, thank you. No, thank you. That's not a good use case. Trading is not a good use case for a cloud app like that. Because a cloud app, I think that you can get a cloud app to where, it's extremely reliable and it's almost always up. But you're also always going to be updating it. Like, that's kind of one of the nice things about the cloud app, is that you can update it and do whatever you want, whenever you want. And, it updates it for all of the users and they don't have to do anything. You're going to keep changing it. It's, there might be sections of the application that have degraded performance. There might be times where, you have system-wide issues, right? Like, if I'm running it on my machine, right, I only have to worry about my hardware and the load that I'm running. And I just make sure that my computer can handle basically any kind of market event that will come along, right? But on a cloud app, you're sharing those resources among all of those people. So you can't have that guarantee. There's always a possibility that there's going to be some market event or something that comes along and your system's not going to be able to handle it. The data changes, the customers change. It's just this constant thing. So I'm not a fan of cloud trading. And yeah, that's basically what Tradeovate / NinjaTrader Web is. And you won't find me trading it. So I'll say that. You won't see me trading it. So this morning I made myself some oatmeal with honey and vanilla. And I think I put too much vanilla in it because I can still kind of like taste it in the back of my throat. You ever done that before? Like, I tried to do just like a teeny tiny little drop and it was like 4 drops. I'm like, oh crap. Same now since the discontinued Xtrader. Oh, did they discontinue their cloud app? I forgot about that. They were like the first ones to have a cloud app like that. Because I remember it was like, oh, they're having a webinar on Futures.io. I really want to watch that. It's trading technologies, and then it was for cloud app. I'm like, no, thank you. Left the webinar. Yeah, Xtrader was, but you still have Trading Technologies desktop. Well, they're back up to the higher end of the range. In fact, they actually beat the previous high by 1 tick already. It's still, but they have a desktop version too. I don't know. I don't really get the desire for everybody to make a web-based app like the whole Electron desktop sort of a thing, where it's like, okay, it's a desktop application that you install, but it's HTML underneath of the. Yeah, I hate that. Hate that sort of stuff. But it's actually, because the issue is that web technologies are a complete shit show, dude. Like, everything runs through JavaScript, okay? JavaScript was not designed to make desktop applications. JavaScript was not designed to make the kind of GUI interfaces that we have today. It's just that people kept adding stuff onto it until you got what you got. And there's still issues where it's like, you want to do something simple where it's like, it seems like every website has one of these. You'd think that making a simple form would be really simple, but actually it's not. It actually can be really complicated sometimes to get the exact behavior that you want. And again, it's because that wasn't built from the ground up like that. It was kind of evolved into its own freak show as things went along, right? So when you build an application in that form, okay, well, it's okay to do that because most applications do not really require the quote unquote performance, right? It's okay, if I am going to build a web page that just displays information to you, for instance, I use not Intuit, it's Quicken Simplify to be able to keep track of your budget, right? It's just forms and showing things to you. Works great as a web app because the performance isn't really an issue. Yeah, the performance isn't really good. It doesn't matter because it's trivial stuff anyways, right? Okay. But then if I was going to make a video game, I'm not going to make a video game in a web app, right? I mean, you can, and people do it, but most video games are still written in C++, right? Well, which of those two categories does a trading application belong in? And I say that it requires the performance. It doesn't necessarily require the performance of writing it in C++ per se. You can do it in C#, you can do it in Java, it works okay. But I don't think you want to do it in a web app, but there are people doing it that way. You think this has got more to it? Those last few ticks looked pretty good. I'm not actually seeing the spread switch here, so. Oh, but the S&P 500 is selling more? Oh, that's interesting. Dude, gold is getting slaughtered at the moment. Holy cow. Well, tick back. And just as the S&P 500 flips too. That's so funny. So as soon as inflation, this is one that I haven't really seen before. Inflation is high. Treasuries sell because inflation is high. Equities sell because treasury yields are increasing. And then treasuries buy because of flight to safety risk in equities. That's what just happened there. It was only a tick, but still. Okay, Fed Spar is speaking. Ah, okay, we got University of Michigan preliminary coming up here. Five-year and one-year inflation expectations. Kind of forgot about this one. I wonder if it's going to... Well, we'll see how big it will be. They're definitely pulling for it, though. Wouldn't be the first time I've seen something where it was like they way overreacted to consumer sentiment relative to PPI and weird things that don't make sense happen. You know? Five-year inflation 2.9 versus 2.8, and one-year inflation 3% versus 2.9, so a little bit higher than the expectations. Do you think the dollar will go back to where it was before the news? I don't know about that one. I think that the market is going to have a tendency here to want to try and make it back to where they started for sure. Like you can already see it happening here in the treasuries. The knee-jerk reaction was a sell and then it came back up. So there are some powerful interests today, and it is looking like my initial assessment, in spite of my wavering on it, I was not true to that initial assessment, let's say, but I think that my initial assessment was correct, that you're going to get the news come out and then the market is going to revert back to doing its thing because of options expiration. And it seems like the options expiration here is that the treasuries cannot get below where the bulk of the options positions are at 109.16. And the S&P 500 probably is going to have a tendency to revert towards 5,000, right? So I don't know what it means for the dollar, but I'm going to guess that the dollar is going to stay somewhat close to where it is right now. In other words, probably the best action of the day, other than the close in the S&P 500. But for the dollar and treasuries, probably the best action is behind us. I can still feel the taste of, like, I don't know, that vanilla in the back of my throat is really bothering me. That's why I'm a little bit quiet and I'm thinking about that. They had an attempt to push it back down there, but they kind of got stuck again. This is some weird stuff going on in the treasuries. Oh, they're going higher. And look at that big bid at 21. Dude, if they're able to get all the way back to like, let's say 26.5, I'm going to be a little disappointed. I mean, I'll keep it and hold it into next week, but like, I'll be a little disappointed. $25 is your target? Well, we're not too far from 25. That is like seller average. Seller average cost basis, so. Yeah, and dollar did retrace the move. All right. It is very much pulling off of the defy gravity sort of. But it's option to expiration Friday. Shouldn't surprise us. I find that trade, I mean, like things retracing and stuff, I think that kind of makes sense, but I think the trade to like buy it down here on doing that, that's one that takes some balls that I would never try. And deciding like where to take it off, I think would be super, super hard. Well, gold is bouncing. That's interesting. Why is... Not sure I completely understand why gold is behaving the way it is today. Whoa, what's going on with Supermac? Oh, you know what? I totally forgot. Yesterday, I spent so much time looking at watch lists, and I think I got something pretty good. So let's just come over here real quick and pull up a chart of Supermicro first, because Zero Hedge has a story about it. Let's see here if I can remember what their SMCI, Supermicro Computer. Ooh, my, that is ugly. Dude, this chart, is that not like the craziest thing you've ever seen? That is, I've never seen a chart like that, man. Where it's just like, yeah, we're going sideways and then bloop. Like, oh, wow. Like, and like that much, like literally at the beginning of the year, look at this. At the beginning of the year, it was worth $300 and now it's worth $1,100. So that's like a 3x, almost a 4x winner in 2 months. What? That is bonkers. Has there ever been a faster rise than that? I just mind-boggling. But yes, they are getting hammered today. Let's tone it back down to 30 minutes. Oh man, yeah, that's ugly. That's ugly. But it is kind of just like, yeah, probably. There's my technical analysis for you. Okay, you want to see? So I looked through everything, And my conclusion is that the best watch list is Koifin. Koifin. My watch list. So I built a watch list here. And you got all sorts of great stuff. So I can see the one day. Oh, Coinbase is up 10% today. What? What's going on there? That one doesn't make much sense to me. Huh. Oh, they had earnings, that's why. Okay. MicroStrategy is actually down a little bit today. So I kind of did split things out. So here's the few stocks that I own. I really need to add more stuff. Then I got the meme stocks to whack. That's Donald Trump Super PAC, Coinbase, MSTR for the Bitcoin stuff, DraftKings, and ARK. You got to have those stocks on there for the memes, right? And the Magnificent Seven. And then I started adding ones for like all these different things. So like, here are my rare earth minerals ones. So ARRNF is up 14% again today. ARRNF. Wowzer. Okay. So this thing right here, so this is an interesting story. My understanding is, or my recollection is, that what put this on my board was that these guys found a rare earths deposit in Wyoming that's like absolutely massive. Like it's just eclipses anything that they have in China. And so that's been generating headlines and been getting a lot of press. Now, I kind of think that this is a little bit of bullshit, to be honest with you. Because we've known that the United States has rare earth minerals and likely has more rare earth minerals than China does or really anywhere else in the world. We've known that from the very beginning. It's just that what really sets something as a rare earth mineral is that you don't just like go mining in it and find a crystal of this stuff, right? You basically have to process tons and tons of ores and go through all of these chemical processes to get a little bit of that particular element or whatever it is that you're trying to get, right? So you're doing like above ground strip mining and all sorts of chemicals. Like it's not very safe for the environment, okay? And that's why it only happens in China, because China are the only ones with the regulations, you know, cheap enough and whatnot for something like that to be practical, okay? Plus, you have to mine it too. Like getting a mining permit and starting a mine here in the United States has gotten a little difficult. So whether they pull any of that rare earth minerals out remains to be seen. But it has been moving. So it moved after that story came out, pretty big. A lot of it has come back. But now there's a spike today. News. Tools. Past 24 hours. Nothing. Let's read this story. On a day marked by dramatic shifts in the stock market, one story stands out, not just for the sheer scale of its impact, but the future it heralds for tech and renewable energy sectors. American Rare Earths, a company at the forefront of mineral exploration and development in Australia and the United States, recently announced a staggering 64% increase in its estimated in situ resources, totaling 3.4 billion tons, with a concentration of 3196 ppm Treo. This announcement not only sent the company's share price soaring over 130%, but also underscored a significant leap in the quest for sustainability and technology advancement. Blah, 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 blah. So that was the initial story, right? Doesn't really explain why it's up today, though. Well, it's up. Don't know why. Got all of my new nuclear companies. So there's a ton of things here. I haven't really gone through this list to really understand them all. But I would point out that some of these are like down big. So like the total return over 1 year for NewScale, because their little project died, right? They're down 73% over the past year. That's pretty huge. And these ones that are up, well, BWXT, that's one that I've been watching since 2020. Should have bought that one. This one, URA, that's a uranium fund. Don't know what's with this one though. Constellation Energies. Some of these are just like they own existing nuclear power plants. So marijuana stocks. I don't have any marijuana stocks on the list. I created the category though. So if you have tickers that you want to put on there, maybe we could do that right now. Let's continue going down through the list. Okay, Supermicro's decline today is 10%. Freeport McMoran up 3.67%. Okay, so for a material, Freeport McMoran is basically the world's largest producer of copper. For them to be up 3.56, that's pretty big. Because let's see here, that's a stock that has it has a beta of double the index. Okay, that's actually I kind of thought maybe it would have a beta below 1, but shows what I know. They got all these cool metrics here and stuff. Like, okay, their earnings per share estimate year over year, 1 year. Estimate 1.54%. It's not that great, right? But if China takes off again, Freeport McMoran will be the place to be. Zillow down pretty big today. 3 point. News Squawk is having some audio issues. I'm hearing like buzzing and stuff in my ears. It looks like you got filled at 25. Congrats, Octavius. That's it. So not anything too super interesting today. Except for, of course, Supermicro being down 10%. That's crazy. That's crazy. There's also like they have pretty good what are they? Not watch lists. Yeah, market movers. The Trade Desk Incorporated up 15%. What is that? Advertising software maker. Reports strong quarter four earnings. Stock jumps 22%. Biggest losers today. DoorDash. That one's been a disaster for a while, hasn't it? Yeah. Oh, actually, it's not that bad. Maybe you zoom in. There we go. There we go. Ah, so it was up big yesterday and now it's down big today. That's interesting. Adobe down 4.48%. Oh. Ooh. Dude, that one's a little scary. Like, maybe it bounces there, but like if they open up again and it's down, that chart is a little scary to me. Yeah, I'm kind of liking their charts even. Except for what's with the colors? They give me orange and white. No, those are supposed to be blue. I don't know. Should change their colors. Meta's down. Well, that one's kind of like when you have a jump like that. I don't know. The age-old saying amongst the TA guys is that when you get a gap like that, they always fill. Or if they don't fill, they jump, right? Because you can get something like this where it opens up back down like this, and then there's just this hole. That happens sometimes. They call these islands. That's an island. But the TA traders would probably say it's going to do this, and then maybe like that. Right. I'm not a huge fan of Meta, though. Lululemon. Screw them. I don't like them anymore. Too expensive. Quality's gone down. They're over, what is the word? Overrated. It is doing pretty okay today. A lot of these ones on this gainers list are like not actually that big of gainers. Oh, I can change the list? Ah. Digital Realty Trust. How about the Russell 1000? Yeah. That's a little bit more like it. What about small caps? Therapeutics. So that when you go into that one, the big ones always tend to be like biomedical companies. Yeah, a bunch of names I've never heard of before. Roku is down 21% this morning. That's the real biggest loser today, I think. I wish that I had one that was just the whole Russell 5000. Get on that, Koifin. Chromecast is way better than the Roku. I don't know if I agree. I have one. I have both. Actually, I don't know if I have a Chromecast. I definitely have a Roku, though. And I think it's a clever little device. I kind of feel like the differences between the two are kind of minimal, though. Roku as a company probably has bigger issues than just that their Roku device is, not as good as. Yeah, didn't Roku start as like a TV recording box? Those were the days, man. I remember when I had one of those. I think when they introduced the digital recording boxes that like automatically record the TV program for you, whether you're away or not. I mean, now everybody just streams everything, but I think that I watched, that was the time in my life when I watched the most TV. Oh, you're right. Those were TiVos. You're right. No, you're right. But Roku was kind of after that, huh? I guess Roku was always kind of streaming, but not like a full-on. I don't know. I'm kind of like, how do they make money? There has been times when their stock has been good, right? Like before 2022, it was one of those stocks that was going good. It's in the communications services sector. So I remember when Koifin was like a very... Did they pick a name that specifically kind of makes you speak like a New Yorker? Koifin? Anyways, it was not as elaborate of an application as it is now. And the watch lists that they give you are freaking great. There's like, you can add anything to it. and add almost anything to it. So I can kind of do all myself. I have like this stocking list over here. Ooh, Crocs is down today. Ah, that's not that bad. We were up big yesterday, so. That one doesn't look too bad. See, some of these are like, okay, earnings per share revenue change. METC, I forget what's that one. Oh, that's ceramic. That's Ceramico Resources. Okay, like this one. Well, this is a it's basically like a real estate investment trust that is geared entirely towards servicing retiring boomers. So their estimated growth over the next year is 46%. Oh, this one doesn't have a peg? I thought that this one had a peg. Well, okay, so let's look at another one. Cake. Cheesecake Factory. You've been eating at the Cheesecake Factory, right? Oh, we should go eat at that place. I don't think it's quite as good as it was. Nothing is quite as good as it was before the pandemic, but I've always liked eating there. Okay. They're the forward year-over-year estimate 72%. But the PEG ratio is below 1? What? That's an undervalued stock. I don't know. It's probably undervalued for a reason. Look, there's a lot of short interest on this thing too, right? I think it's because the restaurant industry has just kind of sucked lately. And its analyst rating is kind of in the middle. Yeah. That one seems like a good one. And CCJ, that is one of those nuclear energy ones that I not need to do more research. I'm not quite sure what the deal is with that one. This one has a very, very high analyst rating. And the PEG ratio is super low. Like almost 1. When you have a PEG ratio, like, so a PEG ratio above 2 is kind of like fair. 3, you're starting to get into like oversold, but they can go to like 4 and 5. Below 1, around 1 or below, that's like, that's undervalued for some reason. There's something that's happened in that stock that has pushed it down and people don't want to own it. Especially this one, Cake, because like 12.54% short interest. Really? Is that the biggest one on my list? Yeah, it might be. Oh, nope. MicroStrategy has 18% of the float. Oh, and then ARK is they definitely. Oh, SMR. Wait, what is SMR again? Oh, New Scale. Yeah. Well, that one makes this. I'm put that one on my list, but that company might be finished because their experiment, like the whole reason that people were investing in it, failed. So should do some more research, but I don't know if that company survives. If I was Bill Gates, I'd probably be selling it. Anyways, pretty good app, yeah. And I think my take is going to be like, because I would love to create a technical way of investing in all of that sort of stuff. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go, the things that I'm interested in. I think the things that I'm most interested in are rare earth minerals, retiring boomers, new nuclear, marijuana. These are like the emerging places that I want. Growth sectors, right? So I'm going to go pick the best ones of that sector, right? And then I look at all the things like, what am I getting on a PEG ratio? What am I getting? What does their forward-looking growth look like? All of those sorts of things. And I think that that's how I'm going to do that. And save all of the back testing and like portfolio level magic sort of stuff to a managed futures momentum trading strategy. And maybe I will start doing some of that this weekend. I haven't quite decided everything. So I get the whole weekend to myself. the whole weekend, guys. What am I going to do? Because I probably have plenty of time to do some real work. Like write and record a video. Oh, I could totally do that. Because I could like write it tonight and record it tomorrow morning. Or I could write it tomorrow and I could record it Sunday afternoon. Because there's not going to be anybody here. But I am going to try and work on that table. I haven't heard back from my uncle, but hopefully we get some time to do that this weekend too. Finish that. Just finish it, you know? And I do think I want to make a video about momentum, but then if I get that done, actually, I don't know if I think I need to do the AI thing first. I think I need to do the AI thing first to see if I can get my AI that records and translates my voice to run on my Kubernetes cluster. I think that's the first thing that I want to do. Yeah. Yep. Oh my gosh. There's this anime I watched called 100 Girlfriends. And there's this one character that I don't like. And because she's like a kid or something. And she goes, yep. And I'm like, and now I'm quoting it. What's wrong with me? What have I become, guys? Well, if I come over here, we still got about 30 minutes left. But when I'm coming over here looking at my charts, Treasuries came down, retraced, didn't completely make it back up, right? Japanese yen fell, retraced, did make it all the way back up. As did the dollar. Gold made it back. So that's kind of curious. It does look like that the treasuries are saying like interest rate cuts aren't coming. Interest rate cuts aren't coming. The dynamics with the currencies are a little bit more complicated than that, I guess, because like these currencies are like going into recession, right? Going into recession. Two's made it back. Five's made it close. Also, the spread basically made it back. You see this, like you look at the spread and it came down and then back up and it was just kind of like a little blip, right? And just kind of, and just smooth that little hole over, fill it in, right? So I think that overall is showing us that, you know, like the spreads really did, or sorry, the forwards and stuff really are saying like May, June, probably not going to have a rate cut. This is bad for the stock market, yes. But then everything else on the currencies, they seem to remain unchanged. But it's options expiration Friday. So you might see these things mean revert and do all of that sort of stuff so that people can take their profits. And then dealer gamma decreases by like 80%. And it's one of the largest options expirations ever. Certainly for like a non-quad witching, it's pretty massive. And probably you start to see different seasonality in equities, right? Like so far this year, it's been just like it goes up. And I remember when this kind of started, I said like, they're probably going to continue buying it, right? Now it switches. When the dealer gamma is gone, there's going to be an unclenching. They're going to come down. All of the technicals are going to flip, and the seasonality during this time of the year isn't very good either. So from now until about March or April, we may be in a little bit more difficult of a market for equities. Which might be a good, I don't know. Might be a good time to pick up some of these stocks. But it's also could like get way worse than that too throughout the year. Yeah, and it's a holiday weekend as well, yeah. So that's actually, I didn't check that on Forex Factory, and we go to next week. They consider it a bank holiday. Low liquidity. Well, if the banks are closed, then usually it's not very good trading. But does the CME holiday schedule? I really wish they're going to make me open up an Excel spreadsheet, aren't they? I really wish that they would just like post the stuff on here. Okay, President's Day holiday schedule. On Monday. Oh, it looks like it's just normal. Oh, no. The pre-open is different. Oh, pre-open, open. Why is the pre-open for Monday so long? I don't understand it. So it looks like the futures don't change at all, but probably will be light trading. Well, that will just give us time to work on or dive into whatever it is that I end up doing this weekend. Let's see here. I gotta come down on here. Oh, you know what? I never took this one off. Here, look, see, I did the Series 3. So we can get rid of that sticker. And I got my Kubernetes cluster running. So I can get rid of that one. Now, I do still have a video to make about the chair. Forgot about that. So I'm gonna organize it like momentum is first. Chair is next. And then I'm gonna open a new one here. There we go. Transcription bot. FG? Well, so I don't really have the time to like really do like real research on what their company does and everything, but we can definitely pull it up here. FG annuities. Okay, so the chart and ain't bad. It's kind of been going sideways this year. Provides fixed annuities and life insurance products in the United States. It serves retail annuity and life customers as well as institutional clients. Company portfolio includes fixed indexed annuities, multi-year guarantee annuities, pension risk transfer solution. Okay. Analyst estimates here. Oh, they don't show me some of this stuff because it's limited to S&P 500 companies. So will it do that same thing if I put it on on a watch list here? Oh, well, it lets me do it on here. 4.5%. But I don't get to see the revenue estimates. Maybe Yahoo Finance will show us. Top 1% of American earners now earn more wealth than the entire middle class today. Probably there is some truth to that. I don't really think it matters, to be honest with you. Well, they expect to grow about 5%. So what I see is a company that is expected to grow about on par with the current interest rate. So I'm a little bit unsure why this particular company would interest you. Because it's like, okay, if you want to make 5% next year, just buy treasuries, right? Because they're annuities, so it's basically the same things. Basically the same thing, but it's in a company, you know, with the additional risk of it being a company. I suppose, though, if we have a recession, that could be pretty good. And that's probably why the stock just kind of goes sideways. That was a good one. I liked looking that up though. You guys should ask me about more stocks now. I used to be that don't ask me about stocks. Well, I don't think that I want to give like recommendations on stocks, but you know, I think it's fun to come in and look at them. Those additional screens that I get on Koifin, I don't really like. Let's do one like let's just do Amazon. So when I do Amazon, then does it give me actuals and consensus? Oh, I don't care about that part. Price targets, for instance. Okay. They expect it to be worth 200 and it's 168 right now. That's not bad. It's 20%. A lot of them are saying strong buy. They're expecting growth to be down over the next quarter. $44. That's really high. That makes me want to go out and buy Amazon right now. Nah, I think I would like to buy some more stocks, but like I think I'm gonna wait until like March. Got other things going on. I should take care of first. And I think that the market is likely to have a little bit of a decline here. Of course, maybe it will just plow right through that, right? And then I'll be like, oh man, I should have bought it in February. But right now, the balance of flows suggests that we're going to come down. Is Michelle Obama... Where are you getting that question from? Where did that one come from, Octavius? This guy, he comes in, takes decent trades every day, rarely says anything political, and then out of nowhere starts asking me if Michelle Obama is actually a man? Is that... you know what? I actually find it an interesting conspiracy theory. I don't buy it at all. I really don't think that Michelle Obama is actually a man. But I kind of find it funny to read the things that people say online about it. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit entertaining. Of course, it's not nearly as entertaining as reading the UFO folks. Oh my gosh. Those guys. Oh. The people that are into UFOs. Woo! They're cuckoo. You say he is? The one that I think is funny is all of the like armchair analysts saying that they're going to replace Joe Biden with Michelle Obama. I don't think so. Really don't think so. I don't think that Michelle Obama wants to be president, to be frank with you. I don't know who they would replace him with, but like, because it is kind of looking like the current polling right now. The current polling right now is if the Democrats replace Joe Biden, they'll win the election. It's just, who do you replace him with? Because I don't think Michelle Obama actually wants to do it. Gavin Newsom wants to do it, but I think that he would probably be disliked just as much as Biden. So you got to pull something else out of nowhere. Maybe you can find a young, dynamic guy with the right checkboxes on the minorities list, and, you know, like a Justin Trudeau kind of guy, right? Where people like him because he's young and energetic and not because he actually knows anything about what's going on. And will, you know, follow the agenda. Who do we have like that? Pete could do it. I mean, if I was a Democrat, I don't think that I would want Pete to do it because he has not done very good with the job that he was given. But I guess it's a possibility. They could do Buttigieg. Please don't say that guy's name. You know, I feel for you. We talk about that all the time. Again, I keep sitting here saying, like, you know, when the people are arguing about why they're arguing that it's justified that Russia invaded Ukraine, which I very much disagree with. But they say, like, look, if there was some communist dictatorship took over in the country next to the United States, you think that they would just sit there? No, they would probably do something about it too, just like what Russia thinks that it's doing. No, we wouldn't, because we have a communist dictator on our border right now. It's called Canada, and we don't do anything. What name? Buttigieg. You don't remember Buttigieg? He was the mayor of he was the mayor of like nowhere. I don't, it was like some Midwest town, right? Mayor of a Midwest town, young, dynamic. He's gay. He's married to a man. He did pretty okay in the primaries, right? But ultimately kind of faded. And then when COVID came along, like everything just consolidated behind Joe Biden. It was like, really? Okay. So then they said, okay, good job. Good job. You did a pretty good job. We should give you a cabinet position. That's the way that it works, right? It's just like with Donald Trump, and you had, what was that doctor? And everybody liked that doctor, even though he clearly wasn't qualified to be president. But everybody liked him, and they said, well, okay, what we got to do is we got to put you in a position within the administration, both to, you know, as part of some sort of a deal for you to drop out and like endorse me as part of it. But part of it is also so that we can develop you and maybe you'll be a strong candidate in 4 years, right? So that's what they did with, no, it wasn't Hope Hick. Oh, I forget. That's Hope is a girl, right? I forget what her deal was. She's that really good looking girl, isn't she? Yeah. She was like the public relations person. Yeah, I remember her. Yeah, she's good looking. She's got the hair. I'm trying to convince my wife to go and get like $1,000 haircut, but you know, she hasn't found the right hair person. They have to do brunette hair and okay, whatever. Not $1,000, but you know, a couple $100 on hair. Anyways, yeah, it was Carson. Carson was the one that they put in. So one of the jobs that you'll put a guy like that in is like the secretary of housing development or whatever, right? Isn't that what they put Carson in? He did an okay job at it too. I think Carson did a pretty good job. Maybe, well, I don't know. He's kind of old, but maybe he runs again. I don't know. We'll see. But Booty Judge, they made him the transportation secretary. And then COVID hit, right? And he just like was causing problems and like dropping the ball like literally every opportunity. So if I was a Democrat, and maybe they don't see it that way, maybe they see it as, oh, it's just the Republicans trying to bring him down because they're afraid of him, yada yada. But if I was a Democrat, I would kind of be like, I don't know if I really want Booty Judge. Like, are you looking at any stocks related to GPUs or AI? Not right now, no. I am still eyeing Intel a little bit, but if it's popular right now, I'm not interested. I mean, I am giving up a big thing with that, but like when it becomes the bubble or, you know, whatever, the popular thing, I don't like this ARRNF. This is totally the kind of stock that I would be getting into because it's rare earth resources, and it's just like anything that's rare earth resources I'm interested in getting into, right? But it's like spiking. People on TikTok are talking about it, so now is not the time. I want to wait. I want to wait until if I really think their future is that great, wait until everybody forgets about it, right? But that's kind of the case with Intel. Intel is building up their graphics cards. So they had a pretty good run since September. This is kind of when I started looking at it down and around here. I would say around here last year. No, it was in October. Yeah, I started looking at it around here in October, and then it kind of came up. But they have been doing poorly because AMD has beaten them and all of that sort of thing, right? But if they develop a good graphics card, and I think eventually they will, they could start to get the hype too. So, Intel is kind of more of my like, I want a real tech play, and I don't want like a crazy one. Kind of Intel, I think, would be a good place to be. Oh, we'll see. Intel ain't what it used to be, right? Look at back in these days. Whew, look at that trend. Yeah, that's what I like to see. For a low beta stock, at least. What is its? I have that on my list here. Where do we go again? My dashboards. Oh, my watch list. There we go. It's at the top. Tech. Materials. Semiconductor. Intel. What's the beta? 1.91. It used to be like really low. It used to be like if you wanted a large tick instrument, Intel was the place to be. I wonder what it is now. Wow, block sell 3,000 contracts at 23.5. But that's after we've already been pretty constrained for a while. So that's interesting. That one is worth making note of. So are we going to have a little bit of a sell? It could be a little bit of a sell. We'll see. Anyways, now that I got stocks up here, so here's your assignment for the weekend. Am I giving out homework now? is two. I got two. One is find your favorite marijuana stock. And number two is find another growing sector that we can research. If you have any ideas, we can talk about it on Monday and look them up. And by the way, nice to see you today, Thomas. You're like the one guy that really, really watches the Bitcoin. I mean, I think the Bitcoin stuff is still really, really good, but it was just like people didn't want to do Patreon in 2020 and then haven't pushed it since then, so I didn't build it back up. But man, Bitcoin's been going really good lately, and I think that they could probably have a pretty good year here. I don't know. At some point, there's probably going to be a little decline, but the ETFs have been positive for it overall. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the chart. I mean, it really, when you watch it every day, it really is like, okay, like it doesn't predict where the price is going or anything like that, but it gives you context as to what it is relative to like what it would actually be in a more efficient world that can really help you position yourself well, doesn't it? So, maybe in a different world where Tether didn't take over, maybe it would be more important. I don't know. But I've just kind of come to this, like, I don't really like crypto stuff. And so I don't want, like before it was like, I wanted to build it up because I wanted more people to see it. And then I thought that maybe at some point I would like put it out there and, like that would create the demand for it and put it out there and everything. But I just don't think that's happening. And I just don't really want to like have to sell myself to the Bitcoin crowd. You know what I mean? So I'll keep posting it on there, and I don't know. At some point, I would like to like just put the formula out there, but I don't know how to do it in a way that would like you'd get the most bang for it. So I don't even necessarily care so much about like that I make money from it as much as I do that like it gets out to a lot of people, So. Anyways, but I'm probably going to wait another few weeks before I make another post on that one. That's the other thing, is it used to be that there was a reason for me to post about it every day, and now it's like sometimes there's not even a reason for me to post about it every month, But I'll keep up on it still. All right. Time for the weekend. Well, no, I still have to work, but I'll see you guys. I will be here on Monday. We'll probably be doing more researchy kind of stuff, but we'll be here on Monday. What's the data that you use for the blue line? Sure, I'll explain really quickly. It's based largely on the amount of value that is actually transacting on the blockchain. So like if you went and transferred billions and billions of dollars on the Bitcoin blockchain and you did that back and forth a ton, that would probably make the, give it more room on the upside to run. So it's a measure of like how much money is going through the blockchain relative to the current price. Is basically what it is. It's the formula is really that simple. It's a lot like velocity of money, essentially, right? But there's a little bit of magic in filterings. You gotta get the right data sources, and you have to filter those data sources. This is like 100 lines of code or something like that in R. So it's something that like when I put it out, I think that a lot of people would understand and be like, oh, it's not that complicated. But I mean, it's really useful, I think. So, and I'm sure that other people are using similar measures. So the value in terms of dollars, yes. So it's like, what is the price relative to the amount of value in terms of dollars being executed on the chain? With some smoothing and filtering. Okay, I do need to go. Monday.